Welcome in Karibuni to our Rome of Zanzibar. Today I'm going to share with you how I'm making this very rich and delicious fruit cake. So I've got some dates here, some black raisins, some golden raisins, and I'm also using cranberries, but you can use any type of dry fruits. You could use prunes, apricots, or figs, or whatever. And for my whole spices, I've got some cardamom, I've got star anise, I've got a vanilla bean, and I've got a cinnamon stick, as well as some cloves. I'll also be using some orange and lemon zest and some fresh orange juice that I mixed with 2 lemons. So now I'm ready to soak my dried fruits, and I have used 1.5 cup. You could use 1 cup if you don't want them too many. And the whole spices, if you have cheesecloth, please put them in a cheesecloth. And also we're going to scrape the vanilla bean. If you don't have vanilla bean, you can use vanilla or vanilla bean paste. That works wonderfully well. And I soak this in 1 cup of orange juice. You could use pineapple juice or you could use grape juice. And it doesn't have to be fresh, but I prefer to use fresh juices for this recipe. And I soak this for about 1.5 hours. You could do longer if you want to. So for the nuts, I'm using almonds that are chopped, about 1/4 cup, and also cashew nuts. And I like to use ginger, candied ginger. You could use orange or lemon if you have. It's optional. So for my dry ingredients, I'm using 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of cardamom, 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, and 1/4 teaspoon of star anise, and 1/4 teaspoon of clove powder. And we're just going to sift this well and keep it aside. So my fruits are ready now, and I'm just going to remove them and put them in a pan. And yes, we're going to remove all the spices and leave them in the juice. That's why you need a cheesecloth for this. And I've got my fruits here on low heat. I'm basically trying to dry the fruits so I can also get those juices concentrated in the dried fruits. All right. So once that's done, we're going to keep it in a bowl or container. And then at this point, I like to add my nuts. All right. And then we're just going to mix it well and let it cool. Once it's cooled, I add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the flour. And you want to mix this well. This helps the dry fruits not to soak in the cake batter when you're mixing it. All right. So once that's done, we are getting ready. Now we're preparing the syrup. This is 1 cup of sugar. This is called a burnt syrup, but please make sure you do not burn it because it's going to be really, really bitter. On low heat, we're going to melt the sugar, kind of like caramelizing it. And at this point, I'm just lifting up my saucepan. As you can see, it's on the top because I don't want my sugar to burn. And you're just going to mix it well till it's completely... I do want the color, but I don't want it to burn. That's why I've got my pan on the top while I'm stirring till I get the desired color that I'm looking for. And then at this point, add the liquid, whatever you decide to use. I'm using orange juice. And then we put it down on the heat. And you'll see it bubbling like this. And you're just going to stir it occasionally until it melts down. That should take about 5 to 7 minutes. And once that's done, we're going to cook the syrup a little bit longer till it gets to this stage. A little bit sticky. You don't want it to be like candy, just a little bit sticky. And that's it. So I need my syrup cool before I add it to the cake batter. So you can do this ahead of time, maybe a day ahead of time. I'm just going to put it in a jar or whatever you have. And then I put some ice in there so that it cools very fast and be ready for my cake batter. Okay, now we're preparing the pan. Too many steps, but we're going to get there. All right, so you can use parchment paper if you want to. And I'm just using shortening, but you can use oil spray if you want. That works. And then we're going to dust in some flour so that the cake does not stick. 1 cup of butter. Please make sure that it's room temperature. 1 cup of sugar. And we're going to cream this until it's nice and fluffy and light. And you're going to scrape down. Make sure that everything is well combined. And then at this point, we're going to add some vanilla, about 1.5 to 2 teaspoons. And then once it's done, I add 1 egg at a time. Once the yellow has disappeared, you're going to add the second egg and the third egg. All right, then we're going to beat this for a while. Scrape before we add the flour. And I like to add all the flour at one time. And mix. Please do not overmix this step because you don't want your cake to be tough, and sometimes fruit cakes do become rubbery. And I add my zest, lemon, orange, and I also added some ginger as well. Grated ginger. I like ginger and orange flavors in this cake. I'm just going to mix it for just a few minutes just to combine. And then at this point, I like to use my spatula and mix it well. And you can use a hand mixer if you don't have a stand mixer. Then once that's done, now I'm ready to add my orange burnt syrup. That is so beautiful. Now I have used 1 cup, but you can use 3/4 of a cup if you don't want it too dark. That should be okay. But I like my fruit cake to be really, really dark and full of flavors. Just going to mix the second portion and mix it well. Fold it rather. And then once that's done, now we are ready to add the dry fruits, the soaked fruits. I'm going to do it in 2 batches. You can do 2 or 3, that doesn't matter. And fold it gently. And then the rest. I've got my heat ready at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 162 Celsius. So now I'm ready to pour my batter into the pan. As you can see, I'm using the loaf pan. You could use the round one, 8-inch. Please make sure that it's high, at least 4 inches high, because, like you see, mine is almost full on this pan, and we just want to keep it nicely. And so this cake baked, you can bake it between 50 to 60 minutes, but please make sure you check it at 50. So I used the tray because I didn't want it to burn at the bottom. And also I used the middle rack. So I should have checked it at 50 minutes. As you can see, the edges, first of all, it was almost overspilling and the edges are almost burnt. So please check it at 50 before you go to 60 minutes. So I'm just going to remove the edges, and it's really hot. And then after that, we're just going to release the cake. You could use a butter knife or offset spatula. And then just let it stay for about 2 to 3 minutes. Then we're going to put it down, and look at this. This is beautiful. I really loved it. And do not slice this cake until it's completely cooled. And we're just going to put it in the plate. Now you can decorate this if you want. Decorate in the sense you can use a glaze, or you can just dust some powdered sugar like I did, or you can just have it just like that. And this cake is perfect for the holiday time, especially that it's got lots of flavors, lots of spices. The way you have seen, I've put them in here. And we're just going to slice it. See how beautiful this looks? It's so rich and it tasted amazing. And it tastes much better the next day. All right, so it's very soft and moist, and I had to hold it with 2 hands to make sure that it doesn't fall apart. Thank you so much. For more recipes, please visit me at Aroma of Zanzibar, and you'll find all the ingredients in the description box below, as well as on this page. Thank you.